Welcome to episode 8 of the podcast. It was a beautiful sunny morning in Nairobi, which was exciting, but now it looks like it's going to cloud over. And Andy is actually in a sweater. It must be cold.
Yeah, to be fair, it's actually really warm outside. Oh. It's just in the house, it feels a bit chilly today. So, probably because I went outside in the sun and came back in. So,
got a little.
Yeah, because for us, Zuli's outside, but inside we're suffering.
Well,
cold.
we were having a pre-podcast rant about the rally in Naivasha, which is we're not being affected, but Andy is. You've had a lot of being stuck in traffic and
going 100 meters.
Rage.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying because you're 5 minutes. It's right next to my house. I could hear it yesterday from my office as they were doing practice. It's all been ran just probably 500 meters, a kilometre from here is part of the circuit. But I couldn't turn into my own lane yesterday. I couldn't turn onto South Lake Road. I went to pick Kaya up because the day before I went to go pick Kaya up and then got stuck in traffic for 2 hours as the rally cars went past. Then my car got a mechanical issue. So I then had to just come home and pick Kaya the following day. But then, I left at 6 a.m. I didn't get into my house until nearly 10 a.m. Because of rally. It's and now even trying to do steps last night, it's just a pain. There's cars going up and down, trying to go to the rally hangout point, which is at the top of the lane. And it's just, our little quiet lane, which I walk on every evening with giraffe and hyenas, just a sea of cars at the moment. It's just so annoying. And as we were saying, it's not so bad if that money came back into even the local economy, but mainly conservation. The local economy is not massively benefit. A lot of the companies running this stuff is coming from Nairobi to set up. Yeah. There is the land's owned by politicians, and they are making money, and they don't live here. They live in Nairobi, so we just own parts of this land, and that money then doesn't go back into the economy. The local shops, maybe. I popped into Provision Pantry, the little provision store on South Lake Road yesterday. Guys sitting in their car drinking. This is 9 a.m, drinking whiskey and Red Bull, and driving. It's this is great. So that's my shop was busy. They're doing all right, but generally the rest of the economy aren't. Maybe the Airbnbs are doing well because everything's booked out. But
they say the hotels and Airbnbs have been booked. I was reading it.
I don't get motor racing. I don't get the joy of motor racing watching it live. My brother's been to Formula One things live and been trackside and had passes, very expensive tickets for that sort of thing. But a car flies past you. It's not it's different. I imagine a hangout's cool. You look at cars, but rally cars aren't exciting. They're just cars, right? Been painted nicely and stripped out, essentially, have a roll cage in. I understand watching motor racing on TV because you can see the whole race. You can see things. But when you're watching it live, it's I sent to Kat because Kaya really wants to go watch it. I'm well, no. So when we were stuck in traffic yesterday, as the rally cars flew past us, as we had to sit and wait for them. So look, there you go. It's the same as watching a rally. You've seen all the cars now.
Yeah, I've sat in one of my friends' rallies, him and his bro, and they took me to my Mahi one time to do their test drive, and I sat on what do you call it, the co-driver. I don't never do it again. I've never sweated so much in my life. I've never felt speed I've never seen anyone overtake. It's so much adrenaline, and I guess when you're in the car, and I think I reached there and I had sweated. I needed a change because I was holding onto the seat belts and he's just cruising, and it's fun.
it's fun to do it. It's fun to be the person driving. I don't understand watching. Like I've got some friends that do rally, and I've got one of my mates, a good friend. He's from Kenya, but he lives in the UK. He's a policeman in the UK. He's been a co-driver. He's come out here, and been him and this other guy who was a very famous Kenyan rally guy had a car crash on the Kuru Highway going up to do a test practice, and the driver died and he broke his neck.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So luckily his neck healed, but he died himself on the Kuru Highway. Because
it's
driving through.
Like we were saying, how there's not more accidents. I'm sure there's a lot of roadkill.
Sadly.
Oh yeah, I think what's happening. Because as I've seen, like everyone, and I've got a big problem in Kenya with Subaru drivers. Every Subaru driver seems to think they're in a rally, just driving along the road, and it's really annoying. Like up, tailgating you, maybe overtake and drive. Then you end up overtaking them later because their cars aren't like fast. I mean, when you free to overtake, you just fly past them. You're like, what are you doing? You just do things dangerously because you've got a Subaru. You are not Colin McRae. You are Dev driving your little beat up, Subaru Forester. Well done.
Why they have the name Subaru Boys. I hope they don't listen.
Yeah, it just drives me mad.
Let's leave the Subaru Boys. We'll go back to the safety lane of fitness.
Yeah.
So
they don't come after us.
Well, I don't think this is probably their genre of podcast.
Let's hope so.
To be fair.
Let's hope none goes to the gym.
It's a sport of some description. Motor race drivers, like Formula One drivers, have to be really fit. And I'll say that about Formula One drivers. Yeah. Because of the G-forces and everything else. And they've got to keep light.
Yeah.
Because of the weight of the car and everything else. So that's interesting. Like I've known, it'd be quite cool to be a coach for a Formula One team.
Yeah.
Because that'd be a different type of coaching.
Yeah.
A lot of neck strength.
Yeah. A lot of body. Yeah, we have to do the old weight and neck things. Body conditioning, just general stabilization stuff, and trying to keep weight down.
And then maintain weight. Yeah.
But you also have a Formula One chef. You have a Formula One chef, so the meals can be perfected as well.
Kind of like jockeys, I think.
Yeah. No, it was funny. I was having this discussion with a client actually, and you don't think about them. You think they're just sitting there, but it's actually really, kind of like riding horses as well. Like you're just sitting on it, but if you've ridden, it's a workout. Like
your adductors. As soon as you get off a horse, your adductors are burning. Your calves are burning. If you've been up, especially if you've been cantering or galloping. Try to stabilize off the saddle.
Yeah, that's why if you're over 90 kilos like me and you want to be a jockey,
forget it. No, you'd never be.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You'd have to. I don't even ride my horses when I'm over 200 pounds.
Yeah,
it's just unfair on them.
Yeah, happy man.
Very like it. I've got to try and get a really big horse. That's what I'm after.
The Clydesdale.
Really big. Yep. Like almost like a draft horse. I just ride around on a shire horse. I won't feel so bad then. No. I looked into getting another horse, a really big 17-hand eventing horse for that purpose. I still might. Because the other horses just look at me like I'm an idiot. We love the kids. Yeah, get on, kids. Come ride me. They look at me like, oh no, nice dude.
No, don't choose me. Well, we've had some great speakers recently on the podcast, I think, some really interesting episodes. So today it's just us three, and we've got a few topics we'd like to touch on. And one of them, which is really interesting, is sort of sexualization of self on social media. I was going to say of women, but Andy brought up the good point, it's men as well. And what is your take on sort of sexualizing yourself? Because you want to, it's always hard because you obviously want, like on Instagram, you want to spread your message and all of that. And it, just sadly putting out what we put out, whoever follows you is going to enjoy it, but it's sort of, it's not enticing. Whereas, if you put out you know, like instead of sexy shot of like if you're a guy and your abs, or if you're a chick in your bikini, of course you're going to get more followers. And it's like, do you do that to get more followers, then to, you know, have a larger population to spread a better message to, or do you not do it? I mean, it's a hard one. It's a really hard one.
Yeah, you know, it's a something I think it's quite, you know, interesting. I prefer education posts. I like social media as an educational tool.
Yeah,
but it limits your reach with your message. I think it was when talking to Taryn, said, you know, sometimes it's fun to combine both, hook them in, and hit them with the education. Yeah. And I tried that with that probably being 2 shredded posts.
Yeah.
And it did. It probably got the most interaction because, you know, it involves a picture of me shredded.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you know, I always think you should be who you want to be. And if that means you don't reach so many people, so be it. You know, I think people are changing. I still think the majority of people on social media are on there for entertainment rather than education. I do think there's a growing population of people that do use it for education. And we've seen it with like news and you know, how it can be used to spread fake news.
Yep.
And other misinformation. But because people are using it to consume what they think is fact, news. So people are starting to use it a bit differently. But I do think, and I do worry about just people feeling the pressure to be overtly sexual. For no, like, I've seen posts where the pictures, you know, a woman in a bikini, you know, with her glutes, but the actual message in the post has got nothing to do with the picture. It's like, you know, where are we? You know, who do you want to be as a content creator? You know, I'm lucky, I'm sexy as fuck, so I can just put my face on there. No, jokes, but, no, the reality is, you know, I don't feel the same pressure. It's probably because I'm older and I don't care if people like me or not, or like my post or not. I do it because I actually, when I do a post, I like to research a topic, and that's where I get my enjoyment, actually learning myself.
Yeah.
And then I just put it down. And my posts are probably boring to a lot of people because it's full of facts, but you know, I get the enjoyment out of making that post because I've been researching, and you know, it helps. And you know, I'm one of these people, when I'm learning something, if I write it down, I take it in better. So almost it's that same process with creating a post. I'm internalizing that information. You know, I've read, you know, studies on metadata analysis, and I put it down into the post, and it helps me solidify for me. And then, you know, if someone gets benefit out of that, great. If they don't, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I kind of think I'm the same. I don't know. I've never really worried about like likes or follows. It's pretty much the same. It's well, it's clear who was checking my IG and she saw I had about 4,000 posts, and it just
he's an OG. Leon's been there for long, like 4,000 posts.
And
he's just posting less topless photos now because it's been an off season. So.
Yeah.
But when I think about it, I started doing Trojan days where anyway, and I put, you know, when my training was even crazy high volume, like it's been my journey, and it's just nice to share. And I guess I've always tried to make it educational, bit of entertainment, because I guess for me, I like the more educational, and I guess something like a 70-30, where more educational, 30% entertainment, just to try get maybe new followers to see the message. But other than that, I've always just put out what I like to put out, what I think would help guys. And
see, I like what Clear's doing at the moment with the reels. I'm not big on reels at the moment, or big on TikTok type things, just because I'm old and I've got to try and learn that. But I will. I always have these cool ideas, and then I'm like, oh, I'll do it at some point. But no, I like that because that's entertaining and getting your message across.
Yeah.
whether that's, appreciated by a vast audience. I imagine your followers appreciate it because they're there for a reason. I think it's not the sort of, problem is when you're trying to educate, even if it's in a fun way, the masses are probably going to skip past it for looking at reels of someone, saying they've got a pretty face, tiny waist and big bass or whatever that one that keeps coming up every time onto reels, and I imagine they may have millions of likes or views and you're like, but it's because I still think the majority of users on Instagram are younger.
Yeah, true.
And I think as you get older, you change what you appreciate and consume. And I think that's kind of where we are. But no, I think Claire's got doing well with her reels. I think they're a bit fun.
We were supposed to do it together, but I'm happy being the cameraman and the guy.
Yeah, you get to be a cameraman or the stoogey.
Yeah,
you get to be like the background boy.
I film most of my own reels. You do not help me.
I know, but I've tried to she's like, let's go do a reel, and I'm like, yeah. Then when she's going, I'm like, nah. She's good at coming up with the content and just making it. I don't know. Reels. I've seen her do it, and it's quite a bit of work. So
it's a lot of work. But I think with Instagram, you've got to for us now with online coaching being our main thing, it is
true.
The one platform we use to get business. So for me, it's worth spending that time.
Marketing.
It's marketing, and Reels gets out to the most people. And it's 15 seconds. 15, most of them. 30 seconds is too long for some people.
Yeah.
How many outtakes have you got?
Oh my goodness. So, but, when I was thinking about doing them, I was like, I can't dance, obviously. And I'm like, I was like, so what can I do? And it's like, it's fun to take the piss out of fitness myths and nutrition myths. I was like, perfect, I can do that. And I actually enjoy acting. So, but again, with the Instagram, I think you hit it on the nail on the head, Andy. It's what are you comfortable with?
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable showing my body as a message to other people of what, my journey is like. I'm not just going to put a picture of me in my underwear and then a cute quote, or like you say, with something completely different underneath. It'll be like, this is what I did to look like this. I'm not expecting you to look like this doing what I did. But then I also think it's nice, if you're really proud of what you've achieved,
100%.
do a photo shoot, your photo shoot challenge, and when you've put in so much work to look a certain way, I think it's great to celebrate yourself, wearing something you're comfortable wearing, if it's in a G-string, great, that's fine. But if you're if you want to be more creative, step out of your comfort zone, fine. But it's just, for me, again, with you, it's just annoying when you see someone just wearing not much with something totally random underneath, or just a cute quote. You're like, okay, there needs to be a bit more substance.
Your posts, which one's got probably the most interaction, would you say?
Oh well,
has it been your reels?
Sorry.
So it's not been your reels, it's been something else.
No, reels 100%. They get thousands of views. They're great. But in terms of posts, I'll spend hours making a carousel, the diet break and read, nothing. And then I posted that picture a while back of the one you were teasing me in my underwear. Of course, that one got so many likes. And
your Calvin Klein modeling one.
In my fake Calvin Klein.
But I think it's also sort of Instagram's fault. They make it that way that a lot of people get to see the underwear, the abs, the algorithm set up to hide educational posts, it seems. You've got to know where you're looking. If you just go to your search thing, I go to my search thing, it's weird, it's mainly bodybuilding type stuff, but there'd be a random thing that I've never looked up, some woman with
no bra on underneath the top. And you're like, what's that doing in my search thing? Amongst Arnie and Frank Zane and some random woman. It's like
it's pushed to the front. It's the algorithm is interesting. But so many of the amazing people that we follow don't even have 10K followers. And it just shows followers are not everything. If you are an influencer, you need the numbers, but if you're actually doing it for a business, you don't need that many followers. And that's what's nice. Like, the pressure is not to get as many followers, but it's like to get more interaction. Actually people, that's great, and having a conversation, or they're sharing it, they're saving it. For me, that's more important than the number of followers. And it's so you see people with over sort of 10K followers and their content is just shite. You're like,
well, that's the thing. It's not if you want to be an influencer, great. You will make your money from marketing products on Instagram. Most people get caught trying to be wanting to be influencers, but we're in this middle ground where you're actually better off focusing on the followers you've got, what they're following you for, and feeding that. Like mine, my followers are either friends or people interested in fitness. So therefore, look, my story is more personalized, or the odd post about my daughter, which is good, and I interact with my family and friends anyway. But when it comes to my bigger posts, that's for majority of the people following me, because they're following for fitness and exercise.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no, it's always fascinating.
Yeah, because I think it would be nice to reach more people, obviously. So if you
gotta do the reels.
Now, I'm just saying, if you can have more followers and they're able to benefit, well and good. But I don't think I'm pressured to put my glutes or abs on Instagram to get the extra few.
So you got your abs out there the other day.
Oh yeah, doing the cardio, but I didn't. She got all the followers.
No, you got most of it. You got the comments.
I got the comments. She got the followers.
They were like, I cannot unsee what I just saw. What are you wearing? But I don't know. That's a good segue into. I'm obviously taking the piss out of that lower belly fat burning. But honestly, that video, that woman is everywhere. And it's serious. Like, you watch her, and it is all about, that is the language used. Like, torch belly fat, burn belly fat. And you're like, you literally cannot. And I think still in this day and age where it's equally hammered that you can't spot reduce fat, people still think that. Like, my clients will still say to me, oh, please, can we do some more ab workouts? I want to get rid of my love handles. And I'm like, yes, we can work on that, but doing more ab work is not going to get you there. And it's like still in people's minds that the more you work that body part, the more you're going to lose fat on it, and it just ain't that way. It just ain't that way.
It goes both ways. Even men, you get clients who are like, can we do more abs? I feel like we need more core work, because they call it core work, and I'm like, but
core makes it sound more legit.
But core's great, like if it's back. If it's your back and you're trying to strengthen.
No, but that's why I like the podcast and the posts we share, because nowadays it's easy. I'll look for one post of what core or us talking about nutrition, and you send it to them, and it just makes it easier for you to not repeat yourself again. But it really but it's crazy, because what Clea said, it's true. It's either let's do more ab work, or can I add more cardio? It's still ingrained. It's one of those things you need to.
That's the thing. It's like, but people just don't understand how the abdominals work. It's quite simple. It's a flat piece of muscle, basically holding your top and bottom halves together. That's kind of its role, to allow it to move. But it's to stabilize. The muscle's there to stabilize those two almost independent pieces of your body. You have a spine at the back with those muscles that do with back stabilization, and the abs are at the front to stabilize the front. Otherwise, we'd all be looking up at the sky probably. And that's the reality. It's not people doing a million crunches. They're not going to strengthen anything. Your abs aren't getting stronger. Is it that important? No. What's most important is the transverse abdominals, because they're like the bigger stabilizer. The ones we see, they're nice. People decide they're nice, to look at, and that's related to being lean.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you want to change the depth and size of those, for say a competitor, there may be some benefits to try and make them look a certain way, make them look bigger. But then it's like any other muscle, progressive overload. And, crunches, body weight crunches are probably not going to do a great deal long term. I put in ab exercises for my clients because they like them. And that's the only reason. If someone wants to have, because people say to me, oh, can I do some ab work? Because I like it. If you like it, we'll pull it in. It's fine. We'll put a little core circuit in, little ab circuit for you to do at the end of your training session. You crack on. But for most people, I won't bother. I might put in some hanging leg raises because, hanging, actually, you probably get a bit of trap work and that working. Yeah. And then extend leg. That's one of the better exercises, or laying leg raises. But, planks are amazing. But actually just standing still. If you want to work your abs, stand still and don't move. Just tense them for as long as you can. Or practice vacuums.
Yeah, vacuums.
To be able to work your transverse.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm the same. And I think people really forget abs are like any other muscle. You grow them with progressive overload. Like, I used to do the same ab workout every single day and be like, oh, but I can't see my abs. So, well, A, there's too much fat. And B, if you do the same thing every day, obviously your body's going to get used to it. There has to be progressive overload. And like the problem with body weight stuff is that you're just going to have to do more and more reps because you don't have weight. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of think like direct ab training got a bit of a bad rap. Like everyone was about core and functional training. And it's like, it's good to train your abs directly. That it's not the devil to do that, but do it properly. No. Understand what to do. Because if you're trying to just train the abs, the six-pack muscles, there's no hip flexion. And that's what most people work doing abs, is their hip flexors.
Yeah, exactly.
To learn, like Andy said, the TVA, your transversus abdominis. Learn how to feel that, how to work that. That's where vacuums are great. If you're doing a crunch, it's actually a very small movement.
Very.
If you're trying, it's not bad to train your psoas and your hip flexors, but when you're choosing the movement, choose it based on what you're trying to train. If it is to get a bit of hip flexor, then you can add in like a greater range of movement. But ab training is spinal flexion. And I think a lot of people do hanging like leg raises wrong because they don't know how they're using their legs. And you're like, well, yeah, it's easy if you just use your legs, but you've got to learn how to initiate with the abs. When you get that one right,
you need to learn your almost curving your spine around into a C when doing leg raises, rather than just lifting up your legs from the hip. But most people don't need to do ab exercises to see their abs. You just lose your body fat, as you said. Number one is your body fat levels are too high. What you'll find is if you make your abs really big and you haven't controlled your transverse abs, your stomach will just bow out. And in fact make you enclosed look fatter. Because you need your transverse to pull in tight. It's that, imagine pulling your belly button towards your spine, and that holds everything. Once that's strong, you can hold the front of the abs. You're fine. But the fact is, if you just keep working your abs, without working your transverse, starts bowing out. And then if you haven't got lean body fat levels, body fat just sits on top and it just looks nice, like a little curved ball under your jumper.
Yeah, it's like, I think this morning I saw a good post that said a lot of people at the gym confuse sensation for stimulation. It's the same.
100%.
You're just
100%.
hip flexor, source, but you've told yourself, it's abs, man. It's like I can feel it. And you find for maybe a year or so, you've been working the wrong thing. And, also maybe you're in everything, you're doing a lot of things right, but you're like, why isn't it happening? Why isn't it looking the way? And it's, sensation, stimulation. So a lot of that gets a lot of people confused, because I mean, if you throw your legs up, run, you do feel like the abs are working, but even as you're running, that's not the target. So obviously, if you're just crunching and doing 100 or whatever, or lifting your legs up and down, eventually you'll start feeling, and you're like, yeah, I feel something.
But it's so funny how people have that routine. It's like, I do 100 crunches every day. And you're like, actually, that's not the best thing. Yeah. You don't need to do abs every day or every
muscle. Rest it.
Yeah, it's like twice. Like, I think I train abs twice a week, and it's like one move. So one is a hanging leg raise to get a bit of flexor as well, and one is just pure
the weight
abs. So like cable crunches or like a gar hammer raise, something like that. Because do you remember when Olivia was on the podcast? I'm asking this as well. Anyway, and she was.
I remember.
Yeah, we
she was talking to her, and she was like, you can actually hurt yourself training core or abs every day.
Mm-hmm.
You can overtrain your hip flexors and everything, or maybe you've overtrained the front half of your core, and then your back is actually weak, and then you get all these problems, and it's like, well, yeah, you're doing core and abs every day. It's like you don't train.
Yeah, you find people do loads of like crunches and things, but end up with a bad lower back because you've got two muscles working against each other. So because your abs are so tight all the time because they're overworked and they just tighten up, they're pulling on your erectors at the back, which therefore you just start feeling like you've got bad lower back all the time.
Yeah, and it's like you're saying, even if you're doing abs every day, say by the fourth day they're tired, you just, even if you're doing it correctly, you end up using like flexors or some other muscle.
Of course.
Or you use your back.
Yeah, they're just
find my back.
Yeah,
they're not recovered, and you're there again 100 crunches. It's like, nah.
The thing is, most people would just benefit from more oblique work to get a shape rather than worrying about the abs, because those abs will be there regardless. You lose enough body fat, but obliques serve a real purpose of rotational movements, stabilization of the body. I prefer things like Russian twist, wood chops, things like that to strengthen the obliques, and then you can progress those by using a bit more weight.
It's a good example is bodybuilders, obviously. It's like, guys, there's always that question, like, how many times you train abs? Then you're like, once. And even when you look at now they're called pro splits, chest and arms, and you'll see abs once, but you're looking at this guy, you're like, how do they look like that if he trains them once? And you're like, yeah, that's enough time to recover. You're there, you're doing your squats, you're doing your deadlifts, you have to brace.
I was going to say, the compounds, by being good at bracing during compound exercises, you're actually using your core and abs for what it's built for, stabilization of the body. And so you get a good ab workout and a good, erectors, lower spine, diaphragm workout, what it may be, just by bracing yourself during a heavy set of squats or deadlifts.
Big time. Like I found after, so on when we do the hanging leg raises, it is on a leg day. When I go into the leg raise after doing a squat or something, my abs will actually want to cramp. And you're like, oh wow, they were really working.
I hate ab cramps. Ab cramps are the worst.
I even stopped doing them because we did them they were in the program and they destroy me. And Clea is like, you're not doing abs. I'm like, no. Like I literally used to run. It's the last one, and I'm like, no, like I'm not doing
force myself to do the ab ones, but the stimulation and sensation one is really good because the other day Mark Carroll did that post about the bands, like the booty bands for squats and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, the comments on that one were like, what?
Yeah.
But what? And because you do feel a stimulation when you're wearing your booty.
Yeah.
But that was such a great post because I think, and I mean, I used to be a booty band person. My bag was full of bands. I used them for activation, all of that. But, it's good to admit when you're wrong and to, do your research. And if you do understand biomechanics, it doesn't make sense to wear a band when you're squatting or hip thrusting. Your glutes don't work that way. But it was just, the comments were interesting.
Nice.
The only reasons you go on, sorry, Neil.
No, I was just saying it's because we followed Mark Carroll and he's an amazing coach, and he also used them. And you training and science changes, and you learn. And
because that was from Coach Sam who that. And I mean, Brett Contreras made the booty bands popular, and he was like the glute guru, so everyone was like, well, he must be right.
True. I've made loads of books and made millions of pounds.
But it's if you understand what the function of the glutes is and how they work,
you sit down and you're like, crap, what have I been doing?
Because actually when I was doing banded hip thrusts, like you can't contract your glutes and abduct at the same time. Like you can't. It don't work that way.
The only time I suggest using hip circles or bands when doing squats is if you've got a knee tracking issue. So if your knees move, try to bow out because you've got a weakness. If you wear a band around your knees and lower away, and try and just keep your legs in the same position to correct bad squatting form. That's the only time
Even I think even say hip thrusts, not necessarily to a back, but I even saw a coach I follow, there's a client when they hip thrust the knees sort of. So it's just to give.
Cave in. Same thing. If you hold them to keep the knees out.
It's a light band. It's not a heavy band.
No, you're not using the band as a band. You're using it just to keep your legs in position, like to be mindful of where your knees are, essentially.
Like now I use band for activation, especially after the glute bursa. So physio just put light bands in because I have to now do sort of extra activation.
Well, you need your glute medius to get working. So for medius, most banded work is straight out to the side, which is working your formis. And sort of, your ITB band, all of that. Whereas if you're trying to work your glute medius, it's a kickback, but at a 30-degree angle, not straight to the side. And I think glutes it can be a hard one to feel, which is why people like bands. But if you just learn correct form and do things properly, and with weights, you'll get the result.
So hip thrusts are like, I see them done, like people posting loads of videos of them doing hip thrusts because they're cool now. I like a hip thrust myself, but most people do them wrong. So like there's literally no eccentric move portion of the exercise. They just don't go low enough. They're not creating any bend in their no hip flexion as such to drive up through. What's happening is they just look like they're shagging the bar. That's about it. It's like it's not going to do anything. Your range of motion, you need to essentially create 90-degree angles to push back through, rather than just a little angle up.
Well, I guess there's the glute bridge, which is like a half rack hip thrust.
I do like a glute bridge,
which I much prefer I don't like doing heavy hip thrusts because it uses the rest of your leg.
Well, yeah, I like to use it to increase hamstring strength as well.
Yeah, no, if that's
use everything.
Exactly. If you're going for full-on strength, do the full range hip thrust. But if it's purely glutes, the cast glute bridge is amazing.
Yeah,
I actually really
one leg at a time.
Anymore, I've always struggled to feel them. I think everyone's biomechanics are different. I much prefer other glute exercises that I think, because the hip thrust became so popular, everyone was like, oh, well, that's the only move to grow your glutes. Like, well, no. Deadlifts, work the glute in its stretched position and in its shortened position.
RDLs are my top glute exercise. I really feel RDLs in my glutes and the top of my hamstring. Just the very top, the sort of glute ham tie-in and my glute.
For me,
because it's a hip flexion.
Yeah, the hip thrust setup is the one thing I hate.
Well, it takes ages.
Yes, I agree. There's times when I've skipped hip thrusts because if I'm in a place where it's just almost impossible to set up, say like sometimes I've for my coach, Smith machine hip thrusts. And you get that Smith machine that doesn't go to the ground, and you've got to put a step in that end, and you've got to try and work it out. And it's 30 minutes later, you've managed to rebuild something that you can do. Sometimes it's just not practical in a session when it's time, and I'd rather do more RDLs or similar.
If we had the machine, I'd do it. But it'd be
glute drive machines, because it's also fun as well.
Yeah, it'd be the
like a glute drive machine.
Out of all.
Yeah, exactly.
Like one of those, like
I've got 100 million spare.
Yeah, because it just just load up, sit, strap, hit your sets, and you're done. Because the barbell hip thrust is
but it's just I think for women who want to grow their glutes, it's like bands and hip thrusts are not the only way. They're just part of the ingredients. Don't forget your your heavy squats, heavy RDLs, step ups, and I mean, to get glute medius, that you can do a cable kickback or with the band, because you do to work that one a bit.
Cable.
Yeah, but it really is just get your form right and increase the weights and eat, obviously. I hope that's obvious.
So yeah, like with this is a thing with heavy hip thrusts, is you can damage yourself, especially like as people go really heavy with very poor range of motion. And basically that's a lot of load to be resting on your pelvis when you're not moving it properly. You might as well not be bothered, because all you're doing is bruising up your hip bones. Yeah, and
you can hurt your lower back, actually.
Yeah, you find a lot of people, all they do is just hyperextend neck and sort of upper back. It's just, so you find you're not really working your glute, you're just straining your neck, your back, your setup is wrong. And because sometimes I see that on IG, you're going down and you see someone doing I like to
they've arched their lower back there.
And there's that urge to be like, should I correct them? And you're like, maybe they'll not take it well, so I just scroll.
Well, it's always touted as a sort of an easy to learn move for beginners, and it's like, actually it can be really hard. Some people just don't get that movement, like Andy said, they're shagging the bar, or their back is arched, or it's just you're like that, just you're not working the glutes there. Let's try a different.
And the thing is, it's because it's a real angled. You've got to have your glutes going down to almost heel depth to create the right angle to get enough hip to rise back up through. So most people, and even some glute drive machines, don't have enough angle to work with glutes, because it's not just a glute exercise, it is a hamstring exercise as well.
Yeah.
And there is better for isolation, purely for glute, you are better with things like glute kickbacks on a cable machine. Because there's a lot less activation of other muscles. So and your back gets worked when doing hip thrusts as well. Your lower back, your hamstrings, and your glutes.
Yep.
So it's almost a posterior chain because it is a hip exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why half the time, because of the setup, I prefer to do RDLs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people you go to the gym and skip, the big step, just starting out, no weight, see how you feel it without weight on a bench, on the floor, get some glute bridges. Everyone always rushes to the bar, and you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to set up, and that's why you find a lot of people say, yeah, I hip thrust 200 kilos. Then they do it and it's the neck just.
Well, I can hip thrust that. We did that, but you're not.
Yeah.
You've got to realize that that's not just the glutes. At heavy weights like that, oh boy, you're using everything. Quads everybody is involved in it.
I've hip thrust 280, and I definitely know it's not all glute.
Yeah.
I can feel it in my glute, but it's probably primarily hamstring and vectors.
The quads were happy too.
I don't know. I've never been how heavy I can hip thrust has never been a goal for me. I
always thought, could I hip thrust the car off of someone? Go underneath it, lift it up there.
It's functional.
There you go. That's too real, Andy. Want to see that up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Build it up to car weight.
Yeah, take a piece on functional movements, do hip thrusts.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, do.
Oh my gosh.
It's only a jack then.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the human jack.
Yeah.
But I think there's one other topic we wanted to touch on, and that's kind of what we discussed with Taryn, just the plague of chronic dieting, and all of us have online clients, and it's I think we all struggle with some clients who still find it so hard to increase their food. And I understand that, it is such a scary thing to do. If you have been a chronic dieter, it's terrifying to eat more and to lose control, because you just assume that you're gonna turn into fat overnight. And
agreed. It's hard because it's such a learned behavior, and some of it's been told to everyone. Don't eat too much, do loads of cardio, and and as we've discovered, there's impacts to this, and it's like my post about being shredded all year. It's just not a healthy thing, and chronic dieting goes hand in hand with that. As Taryn was saying, the effect on the hormone, especially for women. Men have it a little bit easier because we're not juggling so many balls. There's less plates spinning in our hormone lives. We're there, but to a less degree. But with women, there's a lot you can do damage to yourself by being chronically dieting. And, I was saying this to a client the last week, it's like you've got to get your calories up, because what we don't want is, all that cortisol build up, estrogen rising, there's, progesterone going down, your thyroid closing down. And then basically, even if you are losing weight, it's not the sort of weight you want to be losing as hit a pinnacle. You are not going to have the physique you want. What you're finding a bit more, fat starts coming off. Do a little bit less cardio. Just let's not focus on trying to be up, make everything as hard as it needs to be. Yes, there's going to be challenges at times, but what we want to do is, because our client, we've got all the time in the world, it should be as enjoyable as possible. And even, those, the calories set are a deficit, just under your maintenance, but that's it. You will still lose, fat. And also trying to explain to someone, you need 3,000 surplus calories to produce 1 pound actual body fat. Right? Even if you eat a little bit more and your weight goes up, only a tiny percentage body fat. If you're in a circle. Water, glycogen, everything, and you're better off eating and not feeling so shitty. Eat, enjoy your food, and just be mindful over the week that you're in a deficit. It's almost as simple as that.
Well, it is. It's just so hard for people to let that go because so much of it is control. And,
yes,
if you don't understand nutrition, because, literally we're brainwashed with diet culture, like lose fat
100%.
by eating less and doing more cardio. And it's like, often when you get clients like that and you give them a bit more food, they might lose weight at first. And they're like, what is this? It's magic. And it's like, well, you've just got to understand, as we always say, just some of the basics of how it works, energy balance, and that you are doing yourself no favors by eating less. You're not going to get where you want to be at all. And when I did my post the other day, like, you need to be ready to be in a fat loss phase to make the most out of it. And I think most women can't even get past the first checkpoint of having eaten at maintenance for 3 or more months, like preferably more than 3 months. But I know that's a big ask for a lot of people. That everyone's just like, oh, I want to dive into fat loss. But you've got to understand that you almost need to earn that. If you don't want to half-ass fat loss phases, which a lot of people do, you've got to be in a good place so that you can maximize it, get in, get out.
Exactly. Look, I think you hit the nail on the head. It is that brainwashing, and we as coaches have to fight against 20, 30 years of messages being sent to this person, like from advertising, from media, and then it becomes, and some people have seen results from doing that initially. And like, especially someone who was maybe overweight, they see those results by eating next to nothing, doing loads of cardio. We lose weight really quickly. But as we always say, we're not in the weight loss game, we're in the fat loss game.
Yep.
We're two mutually exclusive things. You can lose weight and not lose an ounce of body fat. So it is a case of, yes, you want to lose body fat, but the main priority for me is you are healthy.
Yes.
Unless you're like morbidly obese and it's a danger to your health, we've got time. You've got time. Just start enjoying the process. Start putting the habits in place. To actually nearly every single female client I've ever had has initially struggled with the amount of food I give them.
Yeah.
Because they're just not used to it. Like, and I'm like, look, you just need to get. And so I always say one thing: let's just get your work on getting your protein up this week.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks to make it more. I'm not gonna lose my head if you're not hitting your calories. Once you get your protein, and then we're gonna start trying to get your fats up to the right level, and then finally the carbs, and we go from there. Because my mantra is always progress over perfection. I don't expect people to start perfect. Some people we need to be perfect, otherwise it's a failure. That learned psychological behavior. We feel they got to be ticking all the boxes. No, let's just concentrate on one thing at a time. Get those habits in place and learn. I always say to them, I add cardio in to your programs. I have 3 lots of cardio near for everyone with short sessions, just half of heart-raising exercise every week for the heart. But I make sure then I put the calories up to cover that.
Yeah.
So that gives them a bit more food. Again, we're not using cardio to beat ourselves up. We're using cardio just to keep our heart healthy and happy. I'm not worried about losing weight from cardio. Let's just see what we can do with your food. Let's get you eating. And the problem is, if someone's under eating, I have to say to them, I can't give you any feedback this. Like I can't it's tell you what to do because you're not doing what you're meant to be doing. So my only feedback is try and eat more.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's a reason you're not eating, like you're really busy. Let's start working on regular meals, setting alarms on your phone to tell you, I should eat now. Even if you're busy at that point, it's in your mind that as soon as you free up, you can get some food out of it.
Yeah.
Make smaller meals so you're taking less time out of your day, but spread across your day.
Yeah, and I guess that's about non-negotiables as well. Like when people say, I don't have time to eat, it's like, you make time. Like eating is a human right, you don't need to be a slave to your work. Everybody can take 10 minutes to go and eat. You're not a bad person for doing that. And you should do that because, then you binge at night. If you're someone who's like, oh, I'm so busy, I can't eat, but I'm not hungry, so that's all right. And then you get home and you're like, right now. And you're like, well, then I binge at night. You're like, look at your habits throughout the day.
Yes. And I'm like that. And this is why I know I'm like that. So everyone's been in my meetings recently because I've got this new job. So I turn up in my little Sandstorm cooler bag, put my food in. They go, you're always eating. I said, well, no, I eat now. And then in a couple of hours, I'll eat again. But I'm still doing my work and eating at the same time. It's like, I just get it done.
Yeah, I think people are still stuck in the breakfast, lunch, supper mindset.
Exactly.
Then they see you eating your, I guess your, let's call them calculated planned meals during the day. In their head, they're like, why are you always eating? And it's maybe, you ate breakfast at home, carried 2 meals that they've seen you eating, but for them, it's like, dude is always eating something. And
I think it's one thing I've noticed though is people who are snackers, it's because they're undereaters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they don't realize this because you don't have the appetite to snack. Mm-hmm. So I have, unless you're like, I am a snacker, as in I love food, especially when I'm stressed. Like I love chocolate. Like, the other day, I think I did the story, like the car broke down. And it's been a long day. I've been to the meeting. I have that issue with that road rage situation. And then got stuck in the Safari Rally traffic. So I was running late. Car overheated because of an fall that we thought we had fixed. And obviously it wasn't fixed properly. So on the way back, I went to get a bottle of water because I realised I hadn't drank a litre of water. My water is like 5 litres of water a day. So I pulled into Delamere Services in Navasha. It's one of these where all the shops are, supermarket. Right in front of me, big display of chocolate. And I love chocolate. Oh, yeah, that looks really good about now. And I reminded myself I'm impressed. So I actually went over to the drinks. And although it was 7 p.m., I got myself a can of ginger mule monster, sugar-free monster. So I should have caffeine at this time. But it's better than me smashing a load of chocolate. It tastes sweet. It makes my brain think I'm having something sweet. So I necked a litre of water and drank that on the way home. I bought 15 of them, but for the fridge, because normally it's just the white ones and they run out. And then I've seen these ginger ones now. And normally there's like 2 per shop. But this shop was fully stocked. So I was like,
nice.
Bought 15, stuck in the fridge. But no, the fact is, it's like, I know so if I find ways around that, and one of the things is making sure I'm eating my meals. And I always say to people who snack, let's not, like I always say, minimum of 4 meals a day, spread them out across the day. To one thing to stop. I say if you're a chronic snacker, someone who loves snacking, let's make this 5 meals, split them into 5 meals.
Yes.
So you've got opportunity to eat a meal. So when you want the snack, you're actually a meal. Hello, there you go. So you're eating a meal rather than looking for snacks. And people found not hungry and always full, they don't snack.
No, it's true, but I think a lot of that again for women comes back from we're always taught not to fill the plate and not to like always trying to restrict. Like I remember always doing that, like, oh, I can't fill my plate, and then you go and snack, behind the scenes, which doesn't count, and then you're like, no. So with a lot of my lady clients, it's like fill your plate, eat till you're satisfied. Then, like you say, you don't have that urge to snack, and generally snacks aren't high in protein, and you're not really being mindful about your snacks. And those are the kind of things that add up, and you're like, well, why am I not losing fat? And you're like, well, let's just work on these behaviors. And those behaviors take time, which is why it's so important to spend time not trying to diet, so that these behaviors almost become, they become so normal that when you are in a fat loss phase, it's like you can just go on autopilot. You know what to do.
Yeah. It's that is key. Eat until you're satisfied. Still do that and be in a calorie deficit. Unless you're like proper prep and you're right at the end and you're always hungry, that's different. But like for a lifestyle person, if you're eating protein and fiber, if you're eating your protein and fiber, you're in a place. You feel full.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's just, I think a lot of it is just getting over mental barriers that you've erected for yourself around eating.
Exactly.
It can really take time. And I say minimum of 3 months at maintenance. I mean, it would be great if women could do more, because there was a great post yesterday. I shared it on my stories, and this lady was saying, let's build to build, not build to always be thinking of going to the next cut. It's like, because that kind of resonated. I was like, yeah, that's kind of sometimes what I think. I'm like, I'm doing this so I can cut later. And it's like, really just focus on where you're at now and enjoy that. And, because you're always looking, like the end goal somehow is always to cut. And I mean, those aesthetic goals are fine, but, just to be in the moment and know that what you're doing is sort of a healthy and sustainable change for you. And not just so that you can go and lose fat.
I think also it's more, I don't know why everyone sort of tries to, be a competitive bodybuilder in a way. It's like, the job. You build, cut, compete.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yes. 100%. I was thinking this morning. Yeah. I was looking at check-in. I was going, no, this is really good. And I was thinking about people's check-ins. I think people, when we're doing things for themselves, they see posts from bodybuilders or figure competitors or bikinis and think that that's how they should be doing it.
Yep.
Without actually thinking that is with a really tight timeline. You're very do. And it's a whole different ball game. Like when it's a lifestyle thing, you should be enjoying it more, not so restrictive, because there is a need for some society.
Sorry, say that again, Andy?
I think there's a need. I realise there's always a need for, to enjoy it and make it sustainable for you. Yeah. But you don't need a sustainable diet. That's why we end up binging after.
Yeah, it should be enjoyable. I think that's key. You should, whatever stage you should be in, it's your choice, and you should enjoy it. It's not like I must suffer, and then I'll be happy. It's like that's. Oh, nice shorts. Nice legs, Andy. Show us those legs.
To the podcasters.
Oh, nice quads. Yes.
Because it's I noticed a lot of people ask me that question. It's like, so when are you cutting? When I'm like, I don't know. I'm enjoying being strong, building.
Yeah.
The off season, and it's like, so I'm like, done maybe 2 short mini cuts, but nothing crazy. It wasn't anything. I was like, I have to cut now because
that's what I do. That's what fit people do.
Because everyone always the question, when are you cutting? And I'm like, whenever. Not
more. The thing is, the more you enjoy the building process, and the more you control that. This is even for, especially lifestyle clients. Benefit you'll get because I did a post about Tasmin last night. She's your old grandma.
She's amazing,
killing it. But she blows my mind. Like very active. But the fact is, we're going to start putting her into a gain, into a surplus phase shortly. And I was saying to her, the thing with is do it really slowly and gradually, make it really enjoyable, because the more I can get you eating, and we can increase your natural maintenance level and build some more lean muscle mass, means you can really enjoy your life. Once your maintenance calories have been increased because you've got this lean muscle mass, you can pretty much go out, eat, enjoy. This is what people don't really see, like fitness influencers on Instagram eating these big meals and still looking lean all year. It's because they're carrying a lot of lean tissue. Well, take out the anabolics and everything else, but they're carrying a lot of lean tissue. And it means they can naturally just eat more food. And that is where we want everyone to be. Everyone should be in maintenance, but what we want is to increase that maintenance so you can go out and eat a burger and fries without worrying. Because psychologically, no matter what people say, people worry, But if your maintenance is, so my maintenance is probably 3,700 calories to 3,000.
Yeah.
You're back.
There you go. Internet has been crazy.
I think my power's going.
Oh no! You were saying your maintenance calories are. And his power is going, but it's
power.
I think his power is going, but it's so true. Like last year, my maintenance calories were much lower than they are now. So I'm weighing 10 kilos less, but eating 200 calories more. So it takes time to build up your maintenance calories, but exactly like Andy says, when you do, you have so much more room for flexibility with your nutrition.
And maintenance is just a nice place to be at. You're not thinking, now I'm cutting now.
Yeah. You don't always have to be doing that.
Yeah, you can build quality, good muscle, work on your body composition just in a maintenance phase.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. Andy has disappeared. We've been talking for a long time. But hope you enjoy this episode where we've done many loops like the Safari Rally. And we will see you in our next one.
Bye-bye.